more like that. If I sit like that, then I'm into the wind.
Yeah,
okay.
That's all right. Yeah, that's fine. Because I want to face you. We don't need to
go lower, because then you can put your foot on the ground. Is that okay? Should we do that?
Sure. Is that all right there, Ben?
Ben, are we good? Because we've lowered ourselves.
We want to put our feet on the ground so we don't look like kids in a high chair. We're live? Hi, race fans. This is Sean with Real Racing TV. Today is the big day. We are at the Daytona International Speedway. It's right before the race. It's race day, and I'm here with Dario Franchitti, racing legend Dario Franchitti.
You've got to work on your pronunciation there, Sean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Franchitti.
Franchitti. I'm sorry. You know, Americans are infamous for not pronouncing things right. Yeah. Well, hey, so here we are. Dario, you've been nice enough to, you kind of walked us around, behind the scenes yesterday. What's, your background with the Daytona 500?
Well, it's a race I love. I love to watch it, and in 2008, I competed in it. I say competed, I kind of ran around the back. I did a sort of 6-month stint in NASCAR, which wasn't terribly successful, and but it was a big experience. It's one of those things you want to do. You know, all the races you want to tick off. Indy 500. Yeah. Did okay in that one. Daytona 500, Daytona 24 Hours, Le Mans, and I was fortunate enough to do the race, but we definitely struggled and ran around the back. But it is a great event. I mean, the Indy 500 is to me will always be the Super Bowl. It's the one that's closest to my heart. It's an amazing race, and for stock car fans, Daytona is that too. And with this restrictor plate form of racing, it's just incredible what the drivers go through, what they do, what they face, and it is definitely a big challenge for them and for the teams.
Yeah, well, speaking of challenges, so this is right before the race. It starts at 2. We're broadcasting here at 10 Eastern time in America. So what is going through people's minds? I mean, what was going through yours when you were racing?
Well, this was my first Cup race. So I had no idea what I was getting into. I'd done some nationwide, as it was at the time, now Xfinity. I'd done some ARCA races. I'd done a truck race, believe it or not, which was a whole different story. At this point, I would imagine all your meetings are hopefully done, your engineer meetings, because you'll be talking to your crew chief or engineer, as it was an IndyCar crew chief here, and you're discussing the conditions, the temperature. It's very, very windy here today, and so you'll be definitely talking about that, how it's going to affect the car. Are you going to change your setup? All that sort of stuff. Then you want some quiet time to chill out. You've been hydrating for days before because it's going to be unbelievably hot in those cars. And again, just trying to look for that quiet space, because you'll be doing sponsor stuff. We've got the drivers meeting coming up at 12 o'clock. Then the driver intros. And then finally you get a little bit of quiet in the car as you strap in before they give you the command to start engines.
Wow. You talk about the wind, and people can see our hairs blowing around, and it's all crazy. I've been here all week, and the weather has been up and down. It's been hot, it's been cold, it's been rainy, it's been dry. How does that affect, the positions that the cars are in, that the drivers are in, and how does that, affect, maybe someone who's better on a wet condition as opposed to dry, and the wind and all that?
Well, the interesting thing, oval racing, if it rains, they don't run. Yeah. What you're going to notice today, things like temperature, wind are big factors. Humidity. The most sensitive track I ever encountered is Indianapolis, with the slight change in temperature or wind direction, humidity, you name it. And the engineers have got to completely change the setup of the car. And these guys are going to be going through that today, just preparing and looking at the notebooks. What have they done in the past with this rules package? When in these conditions, because they won't have done a lot of testing. It used to be the teams would come down here and test for weeks at a time at Daytona. They don't do that anymore, so the information has to come from past years a lot, and some simulation stuff and all those things that are creeping into all branches of the sport. And experience can really help there. Somebody like Chase Elliott starting on the pole does not have a lot of experience as a Cup driver, but has obviously the Hendrick team behind him and all that experience, and they'll be trying to guide him and tell him what to expect in these conditions. And then ultimately he's going to have to go out there and drive that car, and it'll be his talent, and that hopefully will keep him up there if he's going to stay up front all day.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that they're just tweaking things up to the very, very moment of the race, and just being in the driver's headspace. So what is it like being in the driver's seat, at the Daytona 500?
It's changed, believe it or not. You know, over the years, the cars have changed quite a lot. The shape of the cars, about 2007, I think they started to what they called the car of tomorrow. So the car became quite a bit bigger for the cockpit area for the driver. It used to be, it was very close, all the bars and everything, and it was quite dangerous. So you know, the NASCAR mandated this car of tomorrow thing. And then you saw head surrounds like you would see in an IndyCar. Those came in almost a carbon shell that the driver sits in now with the seat molded into it. The window bars, the viewing is very restricted. If you stick your head into one of these cars, you actually see how restricted it is. And they've got the nationwide, or in this case the monster sticker is on the windscreen, and that brings it down too. You don't want the sun shining in your eyes. So really, you know, if you sit looking side on, all the way to about here is a head surround. You've got your mirror up here. You've got a tiny mirror on the side. You've got the netting from the window. So that's why you rely on your spotter so much as well, because you can't see. You've got a sort of probably 120-degree arc of vision. Apart from that, maybe you've probably got some vision behind as well, but not a great deal. That's why you rely on your spotter so much to tell you what's going on, who's outside. Are you in a three-wide situation? Are you in the middle of three-wide? You don't want to be in the middle of three-wide. You know, what's going on in those blind spots? And then he's trying to tell you what's going on further down the track, because when you're driving in a pack here, like they're doing the restrictor plate stuff, you know, you could be getting pushed from somebody 3 cars back who's pushing the next guy, who's pushing the next guy. You can't see what's going on 2 lanes ahead of you. All you can see is the blade of the car in front and the back window. So you're not really in control of your own destiny there, and you're essentially doing almost 200 miles an hour blind, and you don't have the control of the car. So you know, restrictor plate racing is it's something you either love or hate. I think I wasn't a big fan of doing it, but it takes a lot of skill from the drivers and the spotters to do it successfully.
Yeah, and I think that's probably something that, you know, I think a lot of our players are, you know, they're race fans anyway, but a lot of people like coming into the sport don't realize it's not just a driver, it's an entire team. You've got your spotter, you've got your pit crew, you've got your engineers. I mean, how is it, you know, the way they work together, and just like how much of a team sport is it?
It's massive team sport. You know, we talk about the drivers. You know, we'll talk about, you know, Jimmy Johnson, Hendrick Motorsport. We might talk about Chad Knaus, but we don't talk about the individual members of that team, from his spotter up in the stand to the guys who prepare the car back in Charlotte, the man or the team, the men that build the engine, the men and women that the engineer and come up with a perfect setup. So it is a massive team sport, and you'll see the pit crew obviously have got a massive influence on the race. But there's hundreds of people in any form of racing. There's hundreds of people, whether it's Formula One, IndyCar, whatever branch of the sport, World Endurance Championship, to name a few. It is a massive team sport. And we talked to Chip Ganassi yesterday, my boss, about how to build a great team. What does it take? What does it take to be a good team owner? We were lucky enough I was talking to Mr. Hendrick on the Xfinity grid, and he was talking about how he runs his team. And it was absolutely fascinating because he's such a cool, calm, collected man. But clearly, he's got to rule that team with he is the boss, and there's no doubt he's the boss. But he doesn't need to shout, and So, but to build a successful team must be such a difficult thing, and that's when you take out the sort of financial commitment and the gamble of building something and then relying on sponsors to keep funding it. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it truly is like running an empire, right? So, getting to today's race, what are are there any like specific manufacturers we should be watching? Any drivers that we should be keeping our eyes on?
I think all of them, really. We were walking around yesterday talking to various people, and one thing they said was the Toyota teams are working more like a team time trial you would maybe see in the Tour de France. They're sort of they're very choreographed in how they're working together, and so if they get up front, they could really control the race as a group. Restrictor plate racing is a lot about tactics, as we've kind of hinted a bit. The Chevy guys, that I think the Hendrick guys are work together. The Ford guys, it seems maybe they're a bit more individual and they're not going to work together quite as well. As far as who's got the best package, who's got the fastest car, I don't know. I mean, it seems you watch the duels and you think, oh yeah, I know what the lay of the land is. You watch qualifying, obviously saw the Hendrick cars on the front row there with Dale Jr. right up there, which was good to see him coming back and having having a good run in qualifying. But I think it's too close to call. I mean, we know what happens. We've now got this segment system too, though. That you've got the segments that pay points in the first sort of 2/3 of the race, and then you've got that final bit for the big prize, for the trophy, for the prize money, and a lot of points too. So it pays to be consistent throughout those segments. You've got to stay up front if you can. But restrictor plate racing, as we know, tends to be that last lap or two, and people just barging their way through and getting into position on that run to the checkered flag, and you tend to see those wrecks. And the thing about the wrecks, I touched on it a minute ago. You're not master of your own destiny. You tend to get caught up in other people's wrecks, and it's more about avoiding those wrecks if you can, and that makes it tough.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a little bit of skill, a little bit of luck, and it could be anyone's race. Is that how it goes?
I think it's a lot of skill. There's definitely luck in there. There's luck in all types of racing, let's be honest. But maybe with restrictor plate racing, there's more. Because of that unknown of somebody else's accident. Somebody else makes a slight mistake. It can be 10, 20 cars ahead of you in the pack, and you're caught up in it because you cannot avoid it, or you've avoided it and you're thinking, yeah, I've avoided it, and then somebody comes steaming through and takes you out. So in any racing, there's definitely some luck involved.
So that kind of brings me to like another. You're talking about like the different types of racing, and you having driven through like so many different series. What is a lot of our players? We're a global game, so obviously NASCAR is very North American focused. So what is it that really kind of sets that apart? I guess they're all different, but what is something that's really special about NASCAR and the Daytona 500 in particular?
Well, I think NASCAR is, it started off as a kind of a southern sport. It's grown to be a national and in some ways an international sport as well. We've got more drivers now from out with the US, and Daniel Suarez has come in this year, having won the Xfinity last year, which was really a good job. I always found, coming from an open wheel background, when I came to NASCAR in 2008, having done IndyCar for a long time, it was a completely different skill set. As I said to Danica Patrick yesterday, I said, it's kind of like a cricketer going to play baseball. And she's like, yeah, I'll take your word for that. I've never watched a cricket match in my life. But it's that thing. It has a stick and a ball. It's a racing car, but everything else is different. All the rules are different. The terminology is different. It feels different. So it's a skill unto itself. And I thought these guys were good. I maybe slightly underestimated their skill level at what they do. The top drivers in all the series are very, very talented, and the NASCAR boys and girls, they're up on that level too.
Right. So having been a driver on all these tracks across the world, what is something that maybe is unique to this track? Something that our players, can help the drivers here, can help our players at home. What's something that they should be looking out for?
Well, I have driven on the oval here and the road course. Oh, yeah. So we'll start with the oval. It's changed quite a lot. In 2008, when I drove on the oval here, it was very bumpy and it was an old surface. It's been resurfaced since then. It's changed the character of the track. And some of the guys were saying yesterday, it's maybe not quite as good. The car doesn't slide around as much as it did. And it was a real challenge getting the car to work over those bumps. To me, the road course here is good fun. We did the Daytona 24 Hours. I was lucky enough to win that, I think in 2008 as well. It started off quite well, winning that race, and then went rapidly downhill from there. But the Daytona 24 as well, and on the road course here is it's a really fun race. I found you'd come along there, you'd race against people from all branches of the sport would want to come and do that one race, and people you grew up maybe racing against you hadn't seen for sort of 10 years or so. So that was always a good time, and if you won it, you get a lovely Rolex Daytona watch.
Awesome. So when we're talking about looking at different drivers, different race teams, is there any kind of rivalries that we should be watching out for? I don't want to things get too heated here, but everyone loves a good rivalry. A loaded question.
Have you watched a NASCAR race? No, there's in any form of racing, there's those rivalries. You know, in IndyCar, we've got the Penske, Ganassi, Andretti rivalry, and in that, there's certain other rivalries. You know, when I was driving in the later years, that my big rival was Will Power, and Will and I, you know, we used to fight tooth and nail. We fell out on occasion. We're good pals now, but we butted heads a lot, and you see throughout this 40 car field today, there's those rivalries, and you know, it's yeah. I mean, where do you even start? That's the thing. Where do you start? You know, there's definitely the manufacturer, the Ford against Chevy against Toyota thing. I think the one golden rule, though, is you don't want to take Junior out. Whatever the rivalry, do not take Dale Junior out, because Junior Nation will come after you. But, you know, there was a lot of time, everybody had that sort of anybody but Jimmy. You know, Jimmy's been incredibly successful, Jimmy Johnson, in a short space of time. Him and his Lowe's team, well-deserved, very well-deserved. But, you know, people get fed up when the fans get fed up when one guy wins, and, you know, that's Jimmy's job's to win there. Seven championships, so trust me, everybody's out there gunning to try and make that's the standard. Yeah. The standard for what it takes to be a champion.
So as we kind of walk through a lot of the we went and met a lot of the drivers yesterday. What was it like for you? Like, you haven't been, you know, in behind the wheel, you know, in a race for a while. What's it like just kind of being back and, you know, talking to everyone and getting that sense of anticipation?
It was interesting for me to be in a NASCAR race. I haven't been to one in quite a while. It was nice to catch up with Penske more than anything. Chat with Danica, Dario Franchitti, chat with Jimmy Johnson. I haven't seen Jimmy for a year. Jimmy McMurray, Cal Larson, they're great pals of mine and teammates. But I'm a racetrack at the track all the time. Those races were our team, Tony Canaan, Charlie Canaan, Max Jones. So you know, I spend a lot of time at the track, and it's always nice to come back to another type of racing and see something different. It's Muscat's holiday, I guess.
Well, it looks like we got
I'm laughing because I tried to kill Noah at dinner last night. I bet $100 that he meatball was Sammy, and I'm going to show you the result of that. Got it in there. Being a Scotsman, pay out $100. Yeah, see that? Right there.
Good work, Dario.
This is, I tell you what, this man is. Although you're driving a truck series this year, I know not go as planned, but
I'm really excited. I'm pretty great racetrack, speedway, so really tight. I love it. Separated each car.
My daughter, Macy, I know.
Rolling the dice. You never know what's going to happen at these races. We've talked about
Now, you enjoyed a lot of success in the K&N series, both East and West. Do you feel that set you up quite well for the Truck Series?
Yeah, last year I ran 27 races in the NASCAR K&N East and West Series, so I was the first one to ever do that, so that was really cool. And then being a team from Washington State, we had to travel all the way across the country for the East Coast races, so we didn't get very much shop time. We only got maybe 2 or 3 days during the week in the shop preparing the cars, and then we'd be across the country the next weekend racing the cars. So it was hard to prepare, get the cars ready to go, everything organized. But we managed to make it happen. We came home with 4 wins last year, and so it was a lot of fun. I got 3 wins on 3 road courses there at the end of the year, 3 in a row. So that was really cool. And then a win earlier in the year up in Connecticut. So I was just very thankful to be running both East and West, and definitely set me up for the 2017 season.
Noah, thank you very much for your time. All the best. Cheers. Thank you. We've got Michael Waltrip here.
How you been?
Hey, Mike. Come and sit. This is a role reversal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to see how this works. How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm great. What about you? Why is your microphone off?
I don't know.
There you go.
Is it true this is the last one?
This is it, 30th and final one. 83, starting in my partner for 17 years. We decided together that since I won this race before, maybe this would be a fun thing to do for the last time.
About 12 years.
Good time. It's been a good trip to Florida. We didn't qualify that good, but
So you're a
see if we can get up to the road.
You are all minimally Russian.
That's us. We just broke through our 44 airport.
It's just something that you're.
Okay. We both helped that.
I don't really know why it's that. Time I ever ran on the big tracks, I always liked it, and I was, it was like I knew how to position my car to make it do special things. And even when my cars maybe weren't the fastest, I was always able to get them toward the front. And then when I got the opportunity to drive a fast car, then it was just really special. So this place defines my career for sure, and I'm really thankful that I get to race one more time here. And what a beautiful day! The stands are full, and the infield's full, and the energy is high. It's just it's a lot of fun around here.
Tell me, we've been talking about the wind and everything, and it's one thing sitting here. For me, talking about the wind, you've got to go out there. How is that going to affect the car today?
I think when you're in the pack, the wind is so violent from car to car that really the breeze blowing doesn't affect these cars that much, because you won't believe, you would, but most people couldn't imagine how much air just will move your car around. And that's why when you only do this thing occasionally, it gets a little bit challenging when somebody like Jimmy Johnson comes up and sucks the air off your right rear, and you're going straight, and you got to turn the other way to keep the car from spinning out. I mean, it's really a challenge, and I usually spend the first half of the race figuring out how this all works and which way the wind's going to make my car go, and so it's really tough, but it's also very rewarding when you do well.
Life as a driver is,
Well, I'm going to get rid of one job today. When I take the checker flag today at Daytona, I won't be a driver anymore, and I'll be focused on TV as my primary job. And I just love it. I got to do the truck race on Friday night. I did the Xfinity race yesterday. I'm going to be a part of the broadcast pre-race today. Then after that, I'll just be a TV guy. I guess we'll figure out what that's all about. I've always had one more race to look forward to. I won't have that anymore after today.
Are you coming back to Goodwood?
I love Goodwood. There's so many good people there, Lord March and all the folks that put on that festival. Makes me happy. I'd love to come back to Goodwood. I like driving up that driveway. That's a lot of fun. That doesn't count. I can still do that.
Can you imagine having a driveway like that? That would be cool. Michael Waltrip, fantastic career. Let's have one more really, really cool race today. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. You meet my friend Ed?
Where is Ed?
Ed, this is Dario.
How you doing, Ed?
Hey, good to see you.
How are you? We're on. That's a camera. Look, that's.
Oh, it's a camera?
Come on.
Really?
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I can't tell you how happy I am to be down here with my buddy Michael. It's just a fabulous venue, and so nice to meet you today.
It's nice to meet you. This is it's going to be some kind of race, isn't it?
Yes, it is going to be a heck of a race. I bet you wish you were driving.
I tried this one once. It didn't go so well.
A little slow for you, huh?
I just struggled with the restrictor plates. I was talking to Michael there, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, the air around the car," and I'm thinking, I wish you'd have told me that before I tried it. Who's your money on today?
Michael. Where are you from?
I'm from Scotland.
From Scotland? I'm from Scotland. I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for 15 years, which I probably tell from my accent.
Yeah, did you learn to play guitar while you were there?
No, I didn't play guitar when I was in Nashville. The IndyCar race in Nashville won that. Represented the guitar. Apparently, I held it.
Well, I just walked around for my 76th birthday, and I'm actually trying to learn how to play. Anyway, I'm here with Diamond Resorts. I'm so happy to be here. Wonderful to meet you.
Absolute pleasure. Enjoy the race. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, really, he knows restrictor plate racing like nobody, really. Hi, Sean. How you doing?
Good. I think one of the beautiful things about doing a live stream is like anyone can come by. And one of the great things about having you here with us is that you basically know everyone. I was walking around with you yesterday, and it was just like we couldn't go 2 feet without someone shaking your hand. Do you feel like a celebrity when you're here, or?
These are my friends. It's not that, trust me, there's guys like Jeff Gordon walking around. Jeff Gordon is a celebrity. He's how do you describe Jeff? But the thing is, it's everybody's today. It'd be lovely to have them all come around, but they're so busy just preparing for this race. And I know for a fact if I was driving just now, I'd be holed up in my motorhome. About literally, the motorhome lot is about 50 feet that way, and they'd all be. I'd be sitting in there just chilling out, trying to get away from it all and getting prepared for the race, because all the stuff that goes along with the race, all the fun, all the energy, all the sort of excitement before it, all the sideshow, that's not important really for a driver. It's all about doing your job, and that job would be the same if there was one person in the stand or 100,000 people.
That actually kind of brings me to another point. Since we were over with the motorhomes and everything, like these guys are they're uprooting their families and they have to travel with everything. So what kind of toll does that take on someone?
It's an interesting issue. NASCAR is different because it's something like 36 races, and we saw Jimmy Johnson traveling with his wife Shani and the two girls, and he's out on his bike, and he's got they're trying to do stuff with the girls to live a somewhat normal life, but be on the road all that time. So it's different, become drivers because they grow up at a racetrack. So there's certainly a bit of that. But I loved my bus when I raced. I love my motorhome. I used to go and hang out there. I would be quite happy to live in that thing. It had everything I needed in it, and it was a sort of a sanctuary at the racetrack.
So one question I've got is, you'd been racing for a while, and technology moves so quickly. So how different is it, from when you started and to what it is now, like technology, wise?
Well, things like the data logging and stuff has moved on tremendously. The engines themselves, the efficiency of the engines has making quite a big leap. I'm speaking really, I guess, from all forms of racing. The energy. The great thing about racing is if you can develop an engine that's slightly more efficient, it makes a big difference in your results. Plus, it accelerates the development, and the manufacturers love it. But cost control has come in a lot more too. We used to have qualifying engines. Yeah. We would bolt an engine in for 2 or 3 laps, and then that was it, right? And now you're doing 2,000 plus miles on an engine. So it's changed a little bit. I think everything's changed, to be honest. The steering wheel's become so much more complicated. The cars are, you're going faster with less horsepower, that kind of stuff. Aerodynamic efficiency has become more pronounced too. So, yeah, it's all changed a bit. Good morning.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's it going?
Going great. Chamber of Commerce weather here.
Isn't it stunning?
Yeah, phenomenal.
So, are you ready for the 500?
Yeah, we're ready. Got a lot of partners here. So we've got a brand new entitlement partner, Monster Energy. They're bringing a lot of cool stuff here, and Monster Girls and their lifestyle brand. Should be a ton of fun.
Yeah, what are Monster going to change the way the series is marketed, do you think?
You know what? I think they are going to be. They're going to bring their own lifestyle, their own kind of way they engage. It's going to be fun. They're a fun, edgy brand, and that's something that's good for our brand. So we're gonna move our marketing at NASCAR. We're gonna move it a little bit towards where they are. Not as far as they are, but it should be a lot of fun.
Tell me about the new regulations with the races split into essentially 3. What So what could you explain that to the people watching, and why that decision was made?
Yeah, I mean, what we're trying to do here is the 3 stages that are part of this really was from fan research that we had done. The fans said, hey, listen, we want to make sure the drivers are up on the wheel all the time. And by creating 2 additional winning moments after stage 1, after stage 2,